So these are the different functions of a family. So we look at it from multiple perspectives. Now there are some thinkers who also look at the dysfunctional aspects of family. So there is also a critical view, critical perspective of family. What can be some of the negative consequences of the institution of family? See on the screen you can look at some of these points. We'll discuss them one by one. What are some of the negative consequences? Now as per Morgan, in his work, Social Theory and Family 1975, Morgan points out that a family need not be as harmonious as it is pointed out to be. There can be different kind of conflicts within family, and this might have impact on the different members of the family. So it need not be a very harmonious institution as has always been pointed out. Marxists, they feel that family is an institution through which ideological conditioning takes place. It is basically an ideological conditioning device in an exploitative society. So according to these Marxists, family will be somewhere here. It is in the superstructure, the base substructure to legitimize that. You have different institutions. One such institution is family. In family, different norms are inculcated, which will be indirectly justifying the exploitation. So according to these Marxists, family is an institution through which individual freedom is curbed, self-development is hindered. Another way also you can look at it like this. Now, according to Marxists, when you had primitive communism, whenever we had communal mode of production as per the Marxists, there was no such institution of family. But over a period of time, to protect private property, institution of family becomes one of the most conducive mechanisms. Through family, private property is inherited and it protects your own property. So this is also what is talked, which is forwarded by Engels. He says that family is the primary means by which private property is transmitted through generation, and it controls women's labor, it controls women's sexuality. This particular institution. So this is the Marxist perspective. Now Edmund Leach says that family is isolated from the larger society. Since it is isolated from the larger society, it is away from the larger society, there is extreme level of emotional dependence on one another within the members of the family, and because of this, it can become like a fused wire, overloaded wire. It can easily fuse. It can lead to different kind of rebels. So parents might fight, children might rebel because of the excessive stress tension that exists within the family because of these excessive emotional dependence. Benston looks at family from the feminist perspective. According to Benston, it is an institution which is discriminated towards women because in this institution, women's labor is unpaid. Her labor is not recognized, and this institution perpetuates unpaid labor. And it is because of the unpaid labor that the capitalist gets benefited. If women had been paid for the labor, or if women had not been doing it for free, so in that case, the man would also have had to spend some of his resources, some of his time in the household activity. In such a scenario, that person would not have contributed whatever he's contributing right now to the capitalist system, to the industry. So basically, she's not getting paid. In this process, indirectly, the capitalist is getting benefited. So this is what Benston talks about. Now, Moore-Strauss says that this is an institution which legitimizes sexual abuse and violence. Just look at it from this perspective. Marital rape. How many countries world over have proper mechanism to punish marital rape? In case of India, we do not have any mechanism. So in such a scenario, sexual violence abuse within the marriage continues unabated. Norman Bell and Vogel, two people, they were involved in this research. They are saying that children are made scapegoat within a family. They are traumatized within a family. A family is not harmonious. It might have conflicts. There might be conflicts among the parents. The parents might be frustrated with something else. But in all this scenario, the children are made the scapegoats. They will transfer their frustration onto the kids. As a result, the children get traumatized. Parents vent out their frustration on the kids. Sometimes parents derive some sort of satisfaction because of the achievement of the children. It puts undue pressure on the children. This is also one of the ways by which children get traumatized. If they're not able to fulfill the aspirations of their parents, then they will be traumatized. Another dimension by the feminists, they say that within the family, the power relationships are not equal. And it is expected from the female to provide emotional support to men who are frustrated by the capitalist system. Another view here. Some of the radical feminists, they have some radical perspective now. They say that the mothering role that a female has to carry out, it prevents her from moving up the corporate hierarchy. Because of this mothering role, because of she has to bear the child, she has to take care of the child, there is patriarchy in the society, family expects you to carry out these functions. Because of that, they lose out on different career opportunities. So they call for abolishing of mothering roles. Some of them say that you can go for, you can privatize these things. You can go for specialists, for example, surrogates. So they are calling for abolishing of mothering role. And Jesse Bernard says that men and women have different experiences in marriage. For men, the experience might be positive, but for women, it is generally negative. So different experiences. Kay Millett says that family is a sphere of private patriarchy. Public space there is patriarchy, but at the same time, within family there is patriarchy. Also, family has been studied from the perspective of psychology. So now, D. Cooper says that within a family, different norms are inculcated. You have to follow these norms. In a family, you are taught to be obedient. Now, because of this thing, because you are being obedient now, your creativity might get stifled. So those who want to be artists, those who are creative, they can get impacted. For example, you might have seen this thing in movies also, especially these Bollywood movies. The child wants to take up some creative profession, but the parents will not be willing to do that. Will not be willing to support him in his endeavor. And why parents are not supporting? Because they are also impacted by society. Certain kind of professions they feel might not be suitable. So it can stifle creativity. For example, one example is that 3 Idiots movie. Madhavan wanted to be a wildlife photographer. The parents are not willing to support him in his endeavor. That is the reason he takes up engineering. And later on again he successfully takes up photography. But because within the family you are inculcated obedience, that you should always be obedient, you should always respect seniors, it can have some negative impacts. Ardeline says that family creates a divide. Us versus they divide. Family is us. Everyone who is outside the family is they. So you are basically creating artificial boundaries. Family also promotes mindless imitation. Family is one unit, it tries to imitate others. So that mindless imitation will be there. As a consequence, free development of personality might not be there. For example, different corporates, they will try to target family. The type of advertisements that you see. Owner's pride, neighbor's envy. So these are the way you are targeted. Only the advertisement some years back. So us versus they divide is there. Families, they try to imitate one another. And since you are imitating one another, you are stifling creativity descent again. So free development of individual is not taking place. So these are some critical perspective of family. And another thing, some thinkers are saying that the role of family is declining over a period of time. The functions that family used to play at some point of time, we don't have that many functions. There is proliferation of different kind of bureaucratic organizations, for example, schools, hospitals, etc. So they perform certain functions which family used to perform before. For example, in agrarian societies, Education was carried out. Education was provided in the family itself. Now you have schools for that. Similarly, healthcare, welfare, all these things are now being carried out by different specialized institutions. So the function of family or the role of family is being questioned. So the next thing that we'll see is how the functions of the family is changing over a period of time. And we'll try to compare it along two dimensions. We'll compare the function of the family, the function it used to perform in a pre-industrial society, and what is the function it is performing in industrial society. How this transition is taking place. So when it comes to economic cooperation, the economic functions of a family. In pre-industrial society, the family was a unit of production, it was also a unit of consumption. Both things. Consumption is also included here. But in an industrial society, it has primarily become a unit of consumption. So in pre-industrial society, people were members of the family, they were cooperating with one another to produce a certain thing. But in an industrial society, they're cooperating, they're pooling their resources to consume something. For example, in modern society, you will see families around yourself. The husband and wife, they're working. Let's say the husband is working in the IT sector, the wife is a doctor. Now both of them require certain basic things for their survival. They require food. They're not producing the food themselves. What they're doing, the husband is earning some money, the wife is earning some money because of their respective profession or respective jobs, and they pool in the resources, and from that they will go to retail outlet and they will purchase the necessary food items, food supply. So they're cooperating in pooling the resources, and they're just a unit of consumption. They're not producing the food. Pre-industrial society, the family itself will be having its own fields. They will be cultivating, they will be cooperating, and they will be, whatever they're producing, they're consuming that. So this is the change that has happened when it comes to economic function. Education. In a pre-industrial society, the kind of job that you require, it is very simple. You are working in the fields, and for that you require some simple skills. They did not have modern technology. They're not going to use that. They will use some traditional methods, and these traditional methods can be provided without any formal education. These traditional skills that are being imparted, they might be part of your own culture. In that particular area, everyone is doing the same thing. It is culture over there. And so for this kind of education, you don't need to go out. Within the family itself, you will learn all these things. But when we are moving towards industrialization, in an industry, there will be chemical processes, mechanical processes, electrical processes, different kind of processes are there. These kind of processes, how can you learn within the family? You have to go to established setups where you can learn these things. But again, directly you cannot learn these things. You need to know some basics, numbers, reading, writing. You need that. So for that, again, you will require formal education. So first, basic primary education is required. Gradually, you have to scale it up. Then you have to learn these advanced processes so that you can participate in the industry. So education now is imparted by formal institutions. And the role of family in these kind of societies, industrial societies, is primary socialization. The basic norms, culture will be imparted here, and that too, not exactly the way it was imparted in the traditional societies, in the pre-industrial societies. They will teach you the language. These basic things are imparted here. So this is the change when it comes to education. When it comes to social security, in a pre-industrial society, if you have a family, if someone falls sick, if someone is aged, if someone becomes disabled, care is provided within the family. But in industrial societies, there is emergence of welfare state. Now, welfare state can have different provisions which can take care of this. You might have universal health coverage. So healthcare requirements are taken care by the state. A person is becoming disabled, you might have disability benefit schemes. In case of India, we have the Gandhi National disability benefit schemes are there. In case someone is becoming widow, in that situation also welfare state can play a role. They can give you different allowances. We have one in the Gandhi National widow benefit scheme is also there. So welfare state plays these roles now. The roles that were played by the family. When it comes to safety, in pre-industrial society, you have to fend for yourself. One example is Neos in Sudan. One kind of community, one kind of group, they used to fend for themselves. But the same thing is not applicable in industrial society. In the industrial society, you'll have these states. State will have its own mechanism. For example, right now, let's say you're staying in Bombay or in Delhi, you will have the state police over there. So law and order is provided by the state, and then you also have the judicial mechanisms. In the past, recreation and culture was also provided in the family. Fables, the stories, grandparents telling the stories to the kids, or different kind of songs, they were all inculcated within the family. They used to family was the mechanism by which recreation was ensured. But now, this role has gradually shifted to mass media. And now, mass media is also so much diversified. So different types of mass media cater to these kind of requirements. Religion. In a pre-industrial society, through the institution of family, religion was imparted. And religion was one of the major part of socialization. But now, religion is also becoming privatized. Some people might not be religious at all, they might be atheistic. Also, now different kind of religions have emerged. Sometimes these sex cults have emerged. They're trying to combine the traditional religion with some modern practices. Also, it is up to the individual now. Generally, religion might not be forced, especially in these modern societies. A person can choose his religion as well. They might change their religion after some point of time. So this is how the function of family has changed over a period of time, from pre-industrial society to an industrial society. Changes across multiple dimensions: economic functions, education, social security, safety, recreation, as well as religion. Now the next question is whether the functions are declining or whether the functions are increasing. How do we say that? Now there are again different thinkers who have tried to study this. For example, Ronald Fletcher says that the function of the family has actually not decreased with industrialization. Why does he say that? He's saying that with industrialization, the parents' responsibility is also increasing now. You have to educate the child, you have to educate the child in a particular manner, you have to take care of other requirements of the child. So the parents' responsibility might have increased further. The scope of social life has actually increased. You have to look at multiple dimensions now. Previously, you did not have to look at so many dimensions. So as a result of which, your responsibility is increasing, so function did not necessarily have decreased. Horton and Hunt, they say that when it comes to certain functions, the role has increased. When it comes to certain functions, the role has declined. For example, when we see the economic functions, they say that the economic functions of a family has declined. They're just a unit of consumption, they're not a unit of production. Sexual regulations has definitely reduced over a period of time. Reproductive function has also declined in importance. Some people now question whether they should have kids. Some people who are part of the family, they are saying this physical protection function, it has also declined. State is playing a role now. So you don't need to physically protect yourself. Someone else is doing it for you. But they are saying, when it comes to socialization, when it comes to affectional companionship function, they are saying in this case, the role of family is significant. It does exist and it is important. Young and Wilmot, in their work, The Symmetrical Family, they try to understand the evolution of a family. They talk about 4 stages, how families have evolved. The name of the work is Symmetrical Family. So what they are saying is, in the beginning, in the initial stages, the family was symmetrical. That means husband and wife, they were both working in the farm. With industrialization, what is happening is, men are now going to work. Women are spending their work within the homes. And men are having long working hours, and if they have some free time, they will spend it in leisure, and that will be spent outside the house. So now, it is becoming asymmetrical. Women work is something else, men work is something else. But over a period of time, with advancement in technology, you are moving towards the third stage. Now technology has improved, as a result of which, the working hours can get reduced. Also, the different other political reasons can be there. Because of all these things, the salaries also increase. Now, salaries are more, working hours is less. Apart from that, technology has improved. You have started using household appliances. So now again, the function becomes more or less symmetrical. Men start spending more time within the family. Women might also participate in the workforce. And then the fourth stage, it is the stage in which both men and women, they are just fixated with work. They are too much career oriented. As a result of which, the family becomes an empty shell. It becomes a disoriented family. For example, you might have heard about this: double income, no kids. These kind of families. You are just focused on career and nothing else. Empty shell marriages. So this is how you can say the function of the family is changing, or what has happened to the functions of the family. So till now, we have discussed about the different functions of family. Now, to understand family, we can look at one more dimension. We can look at the structure of the family. This will also help us understand family better. So when I say structure, that means what is the composition of a family? What are the different kind of relations with the family? So all these angles we can see. For example, what is the size of the family? Who is dominating in the family? Whether it is dominated by male or female? What kind of relationships exist within the family? Relationship between the mother and the child, relationship between the siblings, relationship between husband and wife, relationship between the brothers. So we'll try to analyze some of these dimensions. We'll understand what are the structures, and we'll also try to understand what has been some of the changes in these along these structures. Now, one way of analyzing is whether a family it's a nuclear family, or it's a joint family, or it is an extended family. So on the basis of size is a very important component of structure. Nuclear family, when we say nuclear family, it generally refers to a husband and a wife and their offsprings. Extended family will consist of multiple nuclear families. So at least they will have at least 3 generations. Now, William Good, he says that world over, there's a trend that we are moving towards nuclear families. So that is what Good says, William Good. But another perspective here is we might be moving towards diversity of families, different kind of diversified families, different kind of families might be existing. Maybe we are moving towards that direction. Now, another way we can approach the structure of the family is by understanding the authority relationship. That means who has the authority in the family, who has control over the decisions, who holds on to property. So we can understand that. World over, the most dominant type of authority relationship is, or one of the most dominant type of family is the patriarchal family. That means it is dominated by the males. And in case of India also, primarily we have patriarchal families, except for certain tribes, certain communities where we will be having matriarchal families. But mostly it is patriarchal families. Calcutta Parson says that we can also divide authority into 2 types. One is instrumental authority, another is emotional authority. So he's saying it is the males who control instrumental authority. But when it comes to emotion, the emotional authority part is generally controlled by the female. That is what he's saying. But in case of India, keep this in mind, the Hindu family that we talk about, generally the Karta is the male. But now there is gradually a shift towards more egalitarian families. Women are also having equal say in these processes. But traditional family, primarily patriarchal. Now, what kind of kinship bonds exist within family? Now, you will have some conjugal bonds. That means the bonds that exist between the husbands and the wives of the family. That is the conjugal bond. Generally, in traditional families, the conjugal bond is subordinated to consanguine bonds. Consanguine bonds means the bond which exists between the brothers. So let's say this is the husband and the wife. Husband here, wife here. Now, the relationship between the husband and wife will be subordinated to the relationship between the brothers, primarily to protect the authority structure. It might so happen that the wife and the husband, a wife can influence the husband, which can challenge these existing authority structures. So generally, most of the times in traditional societies, traditional families, conjugal bonds is subordinated to consanguine bonds. Filial bonds, it is a bond which exists between the father and the children. Now, filial bonds are strong, but generally they are based out of respect. Respect is a very important criteria here. There is an authority here as well. The father will have more authority, the children will have less authority. Mother-child bonds, they are very strong. Emotional, intimate, and strong relationship is there. But whatever we are studying here, it is primarily for a traditional family. In present society, we are moving towards a society in which love marriages are more common. So in such a scenario, the conjugal bond might be stronger than the consanguine bond. Now, another way you can look at family is the descent system in the family. If the descent is through the male members, it is a patrilineal descent. And in case you are tracing the lineage through the female members, it is matrilineal descent. Generally, you will find patrilineal families, but some cases can be there in which you might observe matrilineal descent. For example, in India, among certain tribes in the northeastern states, you will have matrilineal descent. Apart from that, among Nayars in Kerala, you have matrilineal descent. Or else it is primarily patrilineal. How you can trace your lineage, generally through the male members. Another dimension, who has authority and respect? Generally in families, age is the factor on which authority and respect is decided. Those who are senior, they will have more authority. They should ideally be respected by us. So seniority gives, or seniority ensures more respect, more authority in the families. How the total work of the family is divided, how the labor is divided within the family. Generally, in families, the division of labor is on the basis of sex, sexual division of labor. For example, certain tasks will be considered masculine, certain tasks will be considered feminine. And masculine tasks will be allotted to the male members, and the feminine tasks will be allotted to the female members. For example, now also, in different parts of the world, not only and specifically in India, washing dishes might be considered to be a feminine task. So these tasks should be carried out by the female as per these norms. Generally, it is the women who should be working within the confines of the house. It is the male members who should go out and work. So division of labor in generally in the families and traditional families on the basis of sex. And again, it can also be on the basis of patriarchy. Now within the family, there are different rules and regulations. For example, incest is considered taboo. Sexual relationship between the members of the family, for example, between brother and sister, that is considered to be taboo. Those kind of sexual relations is not sanctioned by the society. Apart from that, some other rules will be there that women should take care of the children, rearing of children, and some other relations. For example, how marriage and marital alliances should be there. It should be outside the Gotra. It should be within the religion. Those kind of rules and regulations are also part of a family. Now, ownership patterns. Generally, in a traditional joint family, all the property is held by the members, male members, and succession is generally patrilineal. It is not matrilineal in a traditional family. So, who is owning the property? Generally, the male members, and again, succession is patrilineal. So, these are some of the points by which we can understand the structure of a family. But the things that we have discussed, mostly we have discussed about the traditional family. These things are gradually undergoing a change. What are the changes that are taking place? What are some specific changes in the family structure? So, first thing, what we will do is we'll understand how the conjugal relations have changed. In a traditional family, in this relation between the husband and the wife, the men will be generally dominating. So it will be domination of the husband over the wife. But gradually that thing is changing. Now we are moving towards cooperation. Husband and the wife, they can have equal roles. Role of the women was very less in the past. her role in the decisions will be less. But now we are gradually shifting. Women's role in the family is increasing. Her say in the decisions is also increasing. Apart from that, the conjugal bonds, they are becoming stronger because of nuclearization. Previously, you are staying together. Because of the authority structure, the conjugal bond might be subjugated to the consanguine bonds, but that might not be the case in nuclear families. So the bonds are stronger in modern families because of nuclearization. Also, Young and Wilmer pointed out that we are moving towards symmetrical relationship. They had studied the different stages. In the beginning, both men and women were working in farms, so the relationship was more or less symmetrical. With advent of industrialization, women were not working, men were working, and men used to work for extended hours. So the role of men and women that is changing now. But with advancement in technology, with advancement in this household availability of household appliances, decrease in working hours, increase in wages, the relationship is again becoming more and more symmetrical. But over a period of time, it can also shift towards the fourth stage, which is characterized by empty shell marriages, breakdown of marital relationship. So that is how conjugal relationships can also change. Thelborn says that over a period of time, there has been a decline in the patriarchal power. And Thelborn gives multiple reasons why there is a decline in patriarchal power, especially in the 20th century. In 20th century, firstly, there was World War I. Now, in World War I, the men had to participate in these war activities. As a result of which, women started working outside because you have to keep the industries running. So women's participation in the labor force is increasing in these economies where they are participating in the war. So women are moving out. Apart from that, in this century, we also saw Russian Revolution. Russian Revolution, it is also a revolution on the basis of egalitarian. It is on the basis of egalitarian lines. So men and women's role is becoming egalitarian. Is becoming same. Men and women are becoming equal. Apart from that, in the 70s, there were feminist movements. It is also questioning many of these gender stereotypes. So as a result of all these things, conjugal relations, they're becoming egalitarian in nature. Women's role is improving. Apart from that, there is strengthening of the bond between the husband and the wife. Parent-child relationship, how it is changing. Now, bond exists between the parent and the child. In fact, in nuclear families, the bond might be very stronger. In a joint family, the child is surrounded by so many people. But in a nuclear family, it is only the parents and the children. So the bond might be stronger. Another thing is happening. Another very important fact here is the role of children in decision making is also increasing. Children are playing a role when it comes to the decisions for the family. For example here, you might have observed many of the advertisements now that try to target children. Children, why they try to target children? Because they know children have a role in the final decision of the family. So that is the reason you will find so many children in the advertisements of products which need not necessarily be catering to children. A car might be sold in which the children will be giving its preference. So car might be purchased by the family, but children might have a role to play in that as well. So increased role of children in decision making. The parental roles, they are also shifting. The parental roles, they are becoming instrumental as well as emotional. Both things are there. Previously, there might have been some gender stereotypes that a father should not be overly emotional, should not express his emotions in a particular manner. A mother should be expressing her emotions more. But these kind of things are changing. A father is also equally showing his emotions. Metrosexual fathers, they're also coming up. So all these notions are gradually changing. Brother-sister relationship. The roles, the role that a brother should have or the role that a sister should have, this demarcation, it is also gradually becoming weakened. The equation is now shifting. Not necessarily this is something that a brother should ideally carry out, not necessarily this is something the sister should ideally carry out. Both might have equal or same kind of roles. So equality in relationship. Brother and sister, more or less the same. So we are moving towards that as well. There has been an increase in the breakdown of marriages. More and more divorces are taking place. And this has been explained by different thinkers. For example, Duncan Fletcher says that nowadays, the expectations of individuals has increased. Now, when your expectations increase, high chances that it will be difficult for you to fulfill those expectations. If you're not able to fulfill those expectations, it can lead to breakdown of marriage. Previously, in traditional societies, marriages did not have these many expectations. Whoever you are marrying, you might not even met that person. You are marrying on the basis of family compatibility, not on the basis of individual compatibility. And you try to adjust, you try to learn, you try to understand who that individual is. But now people marry, they know each other, and they expect that this is what we're going to have in a relationship. So your expectations have increased. When you're having zero expectations, you high chances that you will not be dissatisfied. But when you have a lot of expectations, chances are you might not be able to fulfill those. Can lead to breakdown of marriage. Edmund Leach says that there's a lot of stress tension within the family. Edmund Leach compared family with an overloaded fused wire. It can anytime break down. So that can also that might be a factor which is leading to high level of divorces. Also now the opportunities have increased. The laws specifically related to divorce, they have become easier. So it can also lead to increase in the number of divorces. Previously it might have been difficult to get a divorce, but now gradually countries all over the world, they're trying to make these laws simpler. So it can also lead to increase in the number of divorces. The authority structures, they are also changing. Previously, it was on the basis of age. Those who are older, they will have greater say. But this might not be the case now. We are moving from a society which was more collectivistic towards a society which is more individualistic. Achievement orientation is more important rather than adhering to the collective norms. So the authority structure has also undergone a change. And we also see emergence of different kind of other institutions, non-institutional features. We see emergence of live-in relationships. Marriage is an institution, live-in relationship might not be considered as an institution at present. We observe single-parent families. These kind of institutions or non-institutions, we can say, have also become prevalent now. So this is also another change in the family structure that we observe. Also, we can look at it from the perspective of some other thinkers, or from the perspective of certain phenomena. Industrialization is also leading to changes in the structure of the family. How industrialization is bringing about changes in the structure of family? Industrialization requires a specialized division of labor, and the specialized division of labor can only be imparted in proper institutions. So formal education becomes important. Apart from that, the work that you are carrying out, the work will not be in your home, that will be in a factory which will be outside. So work also gets separated. Apart from that, the different other requirements that the family was fulfilling in the past, that is being carried out by the welfare state. It is providing with the social security. So in this way, the different functions of the family, they are not required now within the family, they are being carried out outside. So it can lead to the change in the structure of the family. An extended joint family might not be required, we can move towards a nuclear family. Parsons also says, he gives some reasons why there is a change in structure. He says that the present modern industrial society demands achievement orientation. It demands performance orientation. You have to be oriented towards achievement, you have to be oriented towards performance. You cannot just focus on certain collectivistic values. So extended family, which is on the basis of ascription, on the basis of birth, that cannot fulfill these conditions, achievement and performance orientation. So gradually it will break down. Industrial society demands individualism, individual achievement. That is important. Individualism is more important. So it goes against collectivistic principles which can hold a family together. Extended family, joint family are based on collectivistic principles. You have to adhere to certain norms, then only you will stay together. But industrial society demands individualism, so they will not be together. So individualism, collectivism, they don't go hand in hand. That is the reason these extended families, joint families will move towards nuclearization. Apart from that, industrialization, it requires individualistic orientation, while extended families, they require particularistic orientation. They're colliding with each other. Apart from that, prolonged socialization training is required. So for that, an individual has to move out of his nest, has to move out of the family, has to move out to specialized institutions for learning, for getting the required skills. Good, William J. Good says that industrial societies, they require certain things. They require geographical mobility, they require social mobility, they're characterized by structural differentiation, achievement status that is more important, and self-orientation is also more important. So because of this, the family structures are bound to change. For example, geographical mobility means you have to shift from one place to another. Today I am working in Bangalore. I have a job opportunity in Bangalore, but tomorrow I might not have it. I might get a better job opportunity. Sometimes I might not have an opportunity in Bangalore. Sometimes I might get a better opportunity in, let's say, Delhi or Mumbai. So I might have to move. So geographical mobility is one of the characteristic features of industrial societies. And if I have to move, it is very difficult for me to take everyone together, my entire extended family together. So that is the reason a nuclear family might be more suitable for these industrial societies. So all these factors are playing a role and resulting in change in the structure of the family. So all these are the factors of change. We have already seen how industrialization is playing a role and how individualism is playing a role. Law can also play a very important role in bringing about changes in the family structure. For example, ease of divorce. If the laws are made less strict, then divorce rates can be higher. Apart from that, different legal changes have happened within India as well. At some point of time, polygamy was illegal. Now, polygamy in different religions is not allowed. In some religions it might be, but not in all religions. For example, in Hinduism, you do not have polygamy. Before the enactment of the different laws, it was there. Hindu laws, it was there. So that will also bring about change in the family structure. The size of the family can change. The relationship within the family can change. Sometimes the policy of the state can also have an impact on the institution of family. For example, we have been trying to promote population control. We're trying to control, stabilize our population. So it also does have a role to play. When you say hum do hamare do, the size of the family can get reduced. According to land reforms, we had some land ceiling laws. That means this much amount of land you can have. You cannot go beyond this much amount of land. So what different families they try to do? They said that, okay, I will be having this much amount of land. My son is the owner of this much amount of land. My other son is the owner of this much amount of land. Even though the land is now remaining within the larger family, but now you have created some artificial divisions. It can sow seeds of rift within the members of the family. Now when it comes to household, there has also been a shift. Previously we used to have petty local families. There is a marriage. Now the female, the bride, she will move to the groom's place. So petty local family, local here, the residence, on the basis of residence. But now we're shifting towards new local families. The husband and wife, after the marriage, they are moving towards a new household. Also, economy might require you to do that. The place where you are working and the place where your parents stay might not be the same. So you have to move to a new household. So that also influences the structure of the family. Sometimes there is a problem of accommodation as well. A single household might not be sufficient to accommodate all the members, so you might have to shift out. But at the same time, sometimes the cost of accommodation might be very high. And in such a scenario, multiple members of the family might stay together. So accommodation can play a role here. Whether the size of the accommodation is the dominant factor or whether the cost of accommodation can be a factor. Overpopulation, migration, they can also impact family structures. So because of migration, the institution of the size of the family can change. The kind of family you are having, that might also vary. So education of women, with empowerment of women, they might start questioning the patriarchal structures, especially within the joint families. So that can also impact the institution of family. They might not accept the things as they are, they might question it. The society is gradually becoming secularized. Secularization means the role of religion in different social institutions is gradually decreasing. If the role of religion decreases, many of the existing cultural norms might be questioned. And if the existing cultural norms are questioned, the institution of family might also change. Media is also playing a very significant role. The kind of family that is promoted in the media, that also plays a very important role. Love marriages and other things, they are also being promoted. It can also lead towards nuclearization of family. Media can also play a very important role in promoting marriages which are on the basis of individual compatibility rather than familial compatibility. Apart from that, other kind of features in the society are on the rise. Live-in families or live-in relationship, cohabiting, single-parent relationship, single-parent families, they are also on the rise gradually. So these are also a change in the structure of the family. So these are the factors which are bringing about change in the family structures.